The CEO's daughter pointed at a street girl and said, "Daddy, she looks just like me." And then the truth came to light. Caroline Whitmore was 10 years old when she learned that her life had been built on a lie so careful, so complete, that even the silence around it had been designed. October in Manhattan meant the trees along Park Avenue turning copper and gold, meant her mother ordering pumpkin arrangements for the entryway of their Tribeca townhouse, meant the smell of cinnamon from the bakery on the corner where their housekeeper picked up croissants every morning. It meant normalcy, routine, the kind of wealth that didn't announce itself but simply existed, as natural as breathing. Until that afternoon when her father's Mercedes stopped on West 57th Street, and Caroline saw herself staring back from the sidewalk. The girl, Lily, she'd said her name was Lily, had disappeared before Caroline's driver could pull her away. But Caroline couldn't stop thinking about her, about the hollow look in those green eyes, about the way Lily had said her own name, as if it were something temporary, something that could be erased. That night, after the screaming match between her parents ended with her mother locked in the master bedroom and her father sleeping in his office, Caroline did something she'd never done before. She took her iPad, disabled the parental controls the way a boy in her class had taught her, and searched for her father's name combined with words like scandal and daughter and secret. What she found made her hands shake. Richard Whitmore had been married before, briefly, to a woman named Diana Crawford, a graphic designer he'd met when his tech company was still operating out of a converted warehouse in Brooklyn. They'd married young. He was 24, she was 22, and divorced 18 months later. The articles were old, buried under layers of his more recent success, but they existed. And in one blurry photograph from a tech conference in 2013, Diana Crawford stood beside Richard, visibly pregnant, her hand resting on a small bump. Caroline did the math. 2013, she was born in 2014, which meant she heard footsteps in the hallway and quickly closed the browser. But sleep didn't come that night. She lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how a person could have two daughters and only claim one. The next morning, her mother sat her down in the kitchen. Catherine Whitmore had always been elegant in a way that seemed effortless, slim and poised, with ash blonde hair cut in a precise bob and a habit of wearing cream-colored cashmere. But that morning, her hands trembled as she poured coffee she wouldn't drink. "Your father and I need to explain something to you," Catherine said, her voice carefully controlled. "It's complicated, and I need you to understand that everything we did because we love you." "I have a sister," Caroline said flatly. Catherine's face went pale. "How did you—" "I saw her, on the street. She looks exactly like me." For a long moment, Catherine said nothing. Then she covered her face with both hands and released a sound that wasn't quite a sob, wasn't quite a gasp. When she looked up, her eyes were red. "Your father was married before me, very briefly. The woman, Diana, she was unstable. Drugs, psychological issues we didn't know about. When she got pregnant, Richard tried to make it work, but she left him before the twins were born, just disappeared. We searched for months, hired investigators, but she'd gone completely off-grid." "Twins," Caroline whispered. The word felt heavy in her mouth. "When we finally found her, she was living in a shelter in the Bronx. The babies had just been born. She was incoherent, Caroline. Paranoid. She thought people were trying to steal the girls from her. The social workers were going to take both babies into foster care. Your father fought to keep them, but Diana, she ran. She took one of the twins and vanished again. We got a call from the hospital saying we could take the other baby. That was you." Caroline's throat felt tight. "And you just took me. You didn't look for the other one." "We looked for years," Catherine said, and there was real pain in her voice now. "We hired everyone. Private investigators, former FBI agents. But Diana was good at hiding. She didn't want to be found. And eventually the lawyers said we had to stop, that we were risking custody of you by continuing to chase someone who clearly didn't want contact. So you gave up." "We chose you," Catherine said sharply. "We chose to give you stability, a home, a life. Do you have any idea what it would have done to you, growing up knowing you had a twin sister out there somewhere, always wondering, always searching? We made a choice to protect you. By letting her live on the street?" Catherine looked away. We tried to find her, for years. Your father set up trusts, private accounts, hoping that one day Diana would surface and need help. But she never did, and we couldn't destroy our family searching for someone who might not even want to be found. That afternoon, Caroline asked her father to tell her everything. Richard Whitmore sat behind his desk in his home office, all dark wood and leather, walls lined with awards and photos of Caroline growing up, and finally told the truth. Diana had been brilliant, he said, creative and passionate and unlike anyone he'd ever met. But she'd also been fragile in ways he hadn't understood until it was too late. After the twins were born, she'd descended into something darker than postpartum depression. She'd become convinced that people were watching them, that the hospital staff wanted to take the babies for some government experiment. When Child Services got involved, she'd fled with one twin in the middle of the night. "I held you in the hospital," Richard said, his voice rough. "You were so small, and I looked down at you and I thought, I can save this one. I can give this one a life. I had to choose, Caroline. I had to choose between searching for a woman who didn't want to be found, who might hurt her own child, or giving you everything I could. And now she's homeless," Caroline said. "Lily, that's her name. She's living on the streets, Dad, while I have everything." Richard's jaw tightened. "I've had people looking for them for years. Diana is good at staying hidden. But now that you've seen Lily, now that we know where she is..." He paused. "I'll find her. I'll bring her home." But it wasn't that simple. Over the next 3 weeks, Richard hired new investigators, pulled security footage from every camera on West 57th Street, traced homeless shelters and soup kitchens across Manhattan. And Caroline, unable to focus on anything else, started skipping her ballet classes and music lessons to walk through the neighborhoods where Lily might be. She found her on a freezing November afternoon near Penn Station, huddled in a subway entrance with 3 other kids, all of them dirty and underfed. Lily recognized Caroline immediately. She didn't run this time. She just stared, something resigned and weary in her expression. Caroline approached slowly, holding out a bag with sandwiches and a thermos of hot chocolate she'd taken from their kitchen. "I'm not asking you to forgive him," Caroline said quietly. "Or me. I need to understand." Lily took the bag but didn't open it. "Understand what? Why our mother left you on the street? Why she kept you from him? From us?" Lily laughed, a harsh sound. "She didn't keep me from you. You were stolen from us." She stood up, and Caroline realized they were the exact same height, the same build, like looking in a mirror that showed the life she might have lived. "Our mom told me everything, about how he didn't want both of us, about how his new wife, your mom, said she'd only take one baby, that 2 would be too much, too complicated." "That's not true," Caroline said, but her voice wavered. "Isn't it?" Lily's eyes were bright with anger now. "You have everything, Caroline. I've watched you. I've seen you get dropped off at school in that car wearing those clothes. I've stood outside your house at night and looked through the windows at your chandelier, your piano, your perfect life. And you know what the worst part is? You look just like me. But you get to be clean." The words hit like a physical blow. Caroline felt tears burning behind her eyes. "I didn't choose this. I didn't know." "Yeah, well, now you do." That night, Caroline told her parents she wanted Lily to come live with them. Catherine reacted as if Caroline had suggested burning the house down. Richard was more measured but firm. It wasn't that simple. Lily had been living on the streets for years. She'd need therapy, medical care, legal documentation, and they didn't even know where Diana was, whether she'd fight them for custody. "Then find her," Caroline said. "You have money, you have lawyers. Find her and make this right." It took 6 more weeks, but Richard's investigators finally tracked Diana Crawford to a women's shelter in Newark. She was 43 years old and looked 60. Years of living rough, of mental illness untreated, of choosing flight over help had carved her into something fragile and hollow. When Richard's lawyers approached her with an offer, full custody of Lily in exchange for residential treatment, medical care, and a trust fund that would support her for life, she signed the papers without reading them. "She doesn't want me anyway," Lily said when the social worker explained what was happening. She was sitting in a conference room at Child Services, wearing donated clothes that didn't quite fit, her hair washed for the first time in weeks. "She stopped wanting me a long time ago. Caroline was there too, sitting across from her mirror image, trying to find the right words. But there were no right words for this, no apology big enough, no explanation that made it fair. "I know I can't fix what happened," Caroline finally said. "I know you didn't choose this, and neither did I. But we're sisters. And if you'll let me, I want to know you. I want—" Her voice cracked. "I want you to have what I have. I want us to be a family." Lily looked at her for a long time. Then, slowly, she nodded. The transition was hard. Lily didn't trust easily, didn't sleep well, flinched at loud noises and unexpected touches. She hoarded food in her bedroom and kept her shoes on at all times, as if ready to run. Catherine tried to be patient, but the tension in the house was suffocating. Richard threw himself into work, as if money could fix what years of absence had broken. But Caroline stayed. She taught Lily how to navigate their school, introduced her to her friends, sat with her during panic attacks at 3 in the morning. And slowly, painfully, Lily began to thaw. 6 months later, on a warm April evening, the two girls sat on the roof deck of the Tribeca townhouse, watching the sun set over the Hudson River. Lily was wearing one of Caroline's old sweaters, her hair cut and clean, her face fuller now. She still carried the weight of what she'd survived, but she was smiling more, laughing sometimes. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if she'd taken you instead?" Lily asked quietly. Caroline thought about it. "All the time. I used to hate you," Lily admitted. "I used to imagine finding you and telling you exactly what your perfect life cost me. I know. But it wasn't your fault." Lily turned to look at her. "It wasn't either of our faults. We were just born into a mess that adults made." Caroline reached over and took her sister's hand. Same fingers, same small scar on the left thumb from some forgotten accident in their shared past. "We're here now," she said. "That's what matters." Lily squeezed back. "Yeah, we're here." And as the city lights began to flicker on below them, two girls who had started life as identical reflections sat side by side, neither one knowing what the future would bring, but both of them, finally, no longer alone.